Let's dive into one of history's greatest and, frankly, most bizarre vanishing acts. We're not talking about a lost city swallowed by jungle. We're talking about a massive, documented structure that was seen, recorded, and then deliberately erased from view. This is the story of the Great White Pyramid of Xi'an.
I mean, just think about that for a second. That's a genuinely chilling thought. Imagine something reportedly twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza being systematically wiped from the public record, not lost to the sands of time, but actively and intentionally hidden. And this whole thing unfolds like a mystery novel. You've got the first whispers way back in 1912, then, bam, an official sighting during World War II. It becomes a global sensation, and then, almost as soon as the world learned about it, the curtain comes down and the erasure begins.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. We're talking about an absolutely impossible sighting over China during the war, a moment that really should have rewritten all the history books.
So, what was this thing? Well, picture this. It's 1945. The war is winding down, and a U.S. pilot named James Gaussman is flying over China's Shanxi province. He looks down and sees this. A colossal, shimmering white pyramid of impossible scale just rising up from the valley floor.
And his report was incredibly specific. This wasn't just some big hill he mistook for something else. No way. He described a gleaming, almost shimmering white material, a massive, jewel-like capstone. And here's the kicker. It had a flat top, completely unlike the pyramids in Egypt. He guessed it was nearly 1,000 feet tall, with these perfect, unmistakable geometric lines.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. A tall tale from a lone pilot. Maybe he saw things? But this story is anchored by a surprising amount of cold, hard evidence. Let's look at how this unbelievable sighting actually got documented.
This is where it gets real. It wasn't just one guy's word. There was an official U.S. military intelligence report filed in 1945. The Air Corps logged its exact navigational coordinates. Then, 2 years later, a director for Trans World Airlines flies over the same spot and confirms the whole thing. The New York Times even runs an article about it. And if you dig even deeper, you find a 1912 diary from an Australian trader who mentions seeing it. This was not a hallucination.
And that New York Times article in '47, that was the tipping point. The story just exploded. Suddenly, the whole world knew about the Great White Pyramid of China. And for this one brief, shining moment, it was celebrated as this incredible, newly discovered wonder of the ancient world. Just to really put the scale of this thing into perspective, look at this. We all know the Great Pyramid at Giza, right? It's huge, about 481 feet tall. The pyramid at Xi'an was estimated at nearly 1,000 feet. Double the size. And it wasn't just bigger. The whole design was alien, with that flat top and that bizarre shimmering white exterior. It was totally unique. So, if you have all this evidence, all this global attention, how does a wonder of the world just poof, vanish? Well, that brings us to the next and honestly the most mysterious part of the story, the Great Camouflage. The change in the official story was so sudden and absolute, it'll give you whiplash. In the late 40s, it's an acknowledged wonder. By the 50s, the official line from the new government was a flat-out denial. Pyramids? There are no pyramids in China. The narrative was completely and utterly reversed. And this wasn't just talk. It was a methodical, physical cover-up. First, they closed the borders to any Western archaeologists. Then, the whole area was put under strict military control. And here's the crazy part. They started a massive campaign to plant fast-growing trees all over the pyramid to hide its shape from the air. Maps were changed, official records were revised, and anyone who asked got the same answer. Nope, nothing to see here. And get this incredible effort has been going on for over 70 years. That gleaming white structure is still there, lying dormant under a thick, strangely geometric forest, deliberately swallowed by the landscape. All of this, of course, just screams the biggest question of all. Why? Why would anyone go to such insane lengths to hide a wonder of the world? I mean, really think about that. What could possibly be the motive for hiding something so monumental from the entire human race? Well, there are basically three main theories floating around. The first one is the official explanation, reclassification. The idea is that these aren't pyramids at all, but sacred burial mounds for ancient emperors, and they're being hidden out of cultural respect. Plausible. The second is military repurposing. The pyramid is in a restricted military zone and is being used for something strategic. Also plausible.
But the third theory, that's the one that really gets wild. The idea that its very existence rewrites history, that it could prove an ancient civilization was far more advanced than we ever imagined, and that secret is so world-shattering, it has to be buried.
But here's the thing. Even after decades of this determined camouflage, you can't completely erase something this massive. It leaves a ghost on the map. And the truth, in a way, is hiding in plain sight.
You see, you can't get rid of everything. That New York Times article from 1947, it's still in the archives. The original military photograph, it's out there in the public domain. And most importantly, we have the original geographic coordinates. And when you plug those into modern satellite imagery, well, the ghost appears.
And that's really the key in the modern age, isn't it? From space, the cover-up is obvious. You can literally see the perfect square outline of the man-made forest covering the pyramid's base. The geometry, on a scale this big, simply cannot be hidden from the sky. So this leaves the pyramid in this weird, contradictory state. Physically, yeah, it's still there, just buried under trees. Officially, it's been completely erased from the record books. And as for public knowledge, it's been almost totally forgotten, reduced to a fringe conspiracy theory.
The story of the Great White Pyramid is a powerful reminder that our reality is only as permanent as the records we decide to keep. And it leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question. If a piece of history this massive can be buried, what else is still out there completely unseen?